Hey everyone, I am here again with another reading excerpt video, and I'm not really sure what to call this one, if I'm going to keep with the title, like reading you an excerpt of my favorite book to convince you to read it, because today is kind of different and extra special, because if you saw one of my last videos, which was a unboxing reaction video, you'll know that I got in a copy of my Star Wars fan novel, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. It is based off of the 2003 game of the same title. I just grew it loving, I loved it growing up, and I just love the story so much that I wanted it to be in book form, and I decided who better to write it than me, so I wrote it. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say that it is one of my favorite books, because it's a book that I wanted to have read, but no one had written it, and so I decided to write it. And I'm proud of what I've written. Of course, there's still plenty of times where I think, oh, could add that, could have added that. But for what it is, especially, because it's out there in the world, I published it on 3 different platforms, AO3, Wattpad, fanfiction.net. Those are kind of the big 3. So yeah, I'm proud of what I wrote, and I love it. Like, I really enjoyed what I wrote. Sometimes I read different parts of it and I'm just like, I wrote that, Like, it's by no means a masterpiece, but then again, whose book actually is, I guess, I don't know. But anyway, I figured I'd do a reading excerpt video to convince you to read it, and I'm going to include all 3 links in the description down below so you can go and read it. This physical copy, I got it printed by Barnes & Noble Press for personal use only. I did it under the personal use platform, which means I cannot sell this, and I will not, because it's my own personal copy, and I don't ever plan on selling physical copies, because obviously it's a Star Wars property, and I don't want to go through that, copyright battle with Disney, so no. But this is just for my own personal use, so if anyone happens to be watching this who's from Disney, I'm not selling it. It's just for me, myself, and I. And people can read it for free on the internet, because it is technically fan fiction, but I call it a fan novel because I actually went through the whole process of writing it the way an author actually would. Not that fan fiction authors don't do that. I don't know, I kind of used writing this as kind of practice for writing and releasing an actual book, except obviously I didn't sell it. So anyway, it was all good practice for when I actually end up publishing my first debut novel. Anyway, I'm wearing my Ahsoka Tano shirt today because I had to wear a Star Wars shirt to represent. And I'm going to read you an excerpt from chapter 1. I'm not going to read you the whole chapter because sorry, I thought I heard my dog walking outside. He's probably just wandering around. But I'm not going to read you the whole of chapter 1 because it is very long. I tend to write very long chapters. So yeah, I'm just going to read you an excerpt from chapter 1. First, I'm going to read you the blurb that I wrote for the back of the book. And then I'm going to give you a little explanation of what is leading up to the scene in chapter 1 that I'm going to read to you, and then I will read it. So, blurb from the back of the book. Here we go. Based upon the beloved Star Wars game comes a new twist. Jaden Core has lived her entire life on Coruscant, the city that covers a planet. Orphaned as a child, she was left in the care of her uncle. For years, she knew she was different. She could feel things no one else could. But her gift lays mostly dormant until one morning she shows her uncle something that should be impossible. She's built a fully functioning lightsaber without any formal Jedi or Force training. Knowing that Jaden deserves more than a small life in the big city, her uncle has her sent to the Jedi Academy to foster her talents. But on her first day at the Academy, Jaden encounters something strange, something dark and sinister. When she's rendered unconscious by this event, she wakes to find she's changed, and maybe not for the better. Like something dark has taken root inside her soul. And when she starts her training, she finds herself excelling surprisingly fast, much to the chagrin of her new friend and training partner, Rosh Pennon, resulting in an unwanted rivalry. With everything she's dreamed of having on the line, a caring mentor, friendships, and the freedom to use her powers, Jaden must resist the pull of the dark side and face a deadly Sith cult head-on. Or will her potential fall from the light cause not only the deaths of those she's come to love and care for, but of those of the entire academy as well? Yikes. So excited. I hope that blurb alone has convinced you to follow one of the links and read it. So I haven't really cracked this open that much, so let me find the scene. Here we go. I'm so excited. There we go. Okay, so the scene that I'm going to read to you is going to be Jaden has just arrived on the planet, or it's not really a planet, it's actually the moon of Yavin 4. It's where the Jedi Academy is, and her shuttle has crash landed, and she and her friend Rosh are separated from the rest of the other students who have also arrived, and they have to make their way back to, like, try to make their way to a certain temple that's hidden in the jungle and, like, rendezvous with the rest of the students. But she and Rosh. Josh is essentially would be their couple name, I guess. But Jaden and Rosh, they get separated, and so Jaden is kind of having to walk alone to this temple. But when she arrives there, it turns out she's not alone, but it's not really like the people that she's supposed to meet up with. So anyway, she has just faced off some bad guys who are hiding in the woods. Why were they there? Well, you know, go and read the book to find out. But I'm going to read to you this little excerpt starting right here. Turning away from the fallen enemies, Jaden called out, "Rosh, you can come out now. It's safe. Rosh? Rosh?" She looked around, but her friend was nowhere to be seen. He was no longer behind the boulder either. Unsure of what to do and out of options, Jaden turned her head back in the direction of the Masasi temple, hoping that perhaps Rosh had found a way around it and the rest of the new students and shuttle crew were there too. She climbed down an embankment to where the river flowed deep and wide between her and the imposing structure of the abandoned temple. Holding her lightsaber up, Jaden waded through the waist-deep water to the other side. No one was there. Clipping her saber back to her belt, Jaden walked around the side and climbed up a wall that sloped at a steep angle to ground level. Perched on a narrow ledge, she worked her way around, hoping to see better from her vantage point. She heard a noise, a blend of fire crackling and the thrumming of a lightsaber blade. Quietly, she peeked around the sharp corner she'd come to, her eyes widening. 3 people stood several yards away, facing the temple. 2 were large, burly men, identical in every way, from their faces down to their clothing. Jaden saw that their clothing was similar to the Dark Jedi's, except for the mask, with the same curved symbol on their shoulders. Between them stood a tall woman, clad in dark leathers. The only color on her came from the deep purple tattoos covering her arms in a checkered pattern. The same color covered half of her face from her forehead to the middle of her nose like a mask, looking like tribal war paint. Feathers ranging from green to yellow to orange hung from her done-up hair. In her hand, she held a cruel-looking scepter with a cross guard on the bottom and 2 crooked prongs at the top. The woman pointed it towards the temple, a yellow-orange glow emitting from between the prongs, its light fading near the temple wall. Jaden did not like the look of this, though she had no idea what was going on. She carefully shifted her weight to get a better view. A small shower of loose pebbles crumbled under her feet and fell over the edge. Jaden bit back a curse. "What?" the woman said, turning towards the noise, the scepter moving with her as she did. Before Jaden could act, the beam of energy hit her with a flash of bright white light, and she was plunged into darkness. She was floating, disembodied in black nothingness, her mouth open, trying to scream, but no sound escaped. The crushing vacuum surrounded her, closing in until she couldn't breathe. She was going to die, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. A sharp, piercing scream, louder than the howler, invaded her eardrums, and then the deep, mechanical breath of a monster, either close or far away, she couldn't tell. She was in a tunnel. That was what it felt like, because she could just see a tiny pinprick of light ahead and a voice echoing her name. She ran towards it, hoping she wasn't too late. Jaden slowly opened her eyes. The sudden daylight dazzling her, making her head ache. Above, the silhouette of a man knelt over her. "Huh? What?" Jaden mumbled. "Who are you?" The man came into focus. He was about twice her age, with a kind, handsome, but somewhat life-worn face, brown eyes, brown hair, and a short beard laced with gray. He extended his hand to her. "Kyle Katarn at your service. Welcome to a day in the life of a Jedi." He pulled her to a seated position. Jaden rubbed the back of her neck. How long was I out? "What happened?" she asked. "We were kind of hoping you could tell us," Kyle said, and glanced to the left. 3 of the students from the shuttle approached. 2 dragged the dead Sith she'd killed and dropped the body on the stone ground a few feet away. They were both human men, one about her age, the other probably closer to Kyle's. The third, who tagged along, was a male Togruta with blue skin and orange and white striped montrails. The younger human man nudged the body with his foot, his face twisted in disgust. She turned back to face Kyle, and suddenly saw Rosh in her peripheral, rushing over to kneel next to her. "When you had finished off the stormtroopers and then that Sith, dark Jedi person, dropped from the tree, I decided to try to find a way to the temple and get some backup. But by the time I found the rest of our group, that's when I saw a huge flash of light and ran over to find you just lying unconscious." He said it all so quickly he was left catching his breath. A man with dirty blonde hair dressed in all black approached. "Do you recall anything?" he asked her. Jaden recognized him immediately, her cheeks burning at the sudden attention from him and everyone around them. She pinched the bridge of her nose, trying to collect her thoughts. I saw 3 people." She looked up at the man. "One was holding some sort of scepter and it was glowing. That's all I can remember." "A scepter? That sounds bad," Rosh said. "Are you able to stand?" the man in black asked. Kyle offered his hand to Jaden, pulling her to her feet, waiting a moment before letting go to ensure she was steady. Yeah, I'm okay," she said. Looking at Kyle, she added, "Thank you," smiling weakly. "No problem, kid." He winked, then stepped aside at the other man's behest. "I sense a disturbance in the Force," the man in black said. "You always sense a disturbance in the Force," Kyle stressed. "But yeah, I sense it too. It could just be residual dark side aura from this temple." "Perhaps." "Kyle, why don't you stay here and investigate?" "I'd love to. Why don't you take the kids back home now?" The men exchanged nods. "Be careful, Kyle." They parted ways, with Kyle heading back to where Jaden had seen the figures, and the man in black going in the opposite direction towards the nearby transport. He called back to the students. "Everyone, follow me to the shuttle." "I think that was the Skywalker," Rosh stuttered. "I can't believe it." And that is a little taste of my book. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that if you have played this game before or any of the other Jedi Knight Dark Forces games, that it will be a joy for you. I got a comment from someone on TikTok who read it and said that it was like getting to experience playing the games all over again. Anyway, I hope that you all enjoy it. This is just only the beginning of my writing journey, and I'm just so happy that I got a little souvenir from just this whole process. Anyway, so excited that I got to read it to you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all the, the spiel that I gotta give you. And go read Jedi Academy. Anyway, I love you guys. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.